when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Well, hello, book clubbers. Welcome. So excited to have you with us. I hope you're dancing. Oh, I got good reason to dance today. It's my birthday.
What? I have to put that in my phone. Oh my God, happy birthday, Jeff Canada. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I didn't say something
No, you don't need to be
immediately.
Yeah, today's my birthday, and nowhere I'd rather be than with Lana Bashinsky talking about Malazan Book of the Fallen. Hi, Lana.
Hello, good morning. Oh man, I just feel it in my bones that this episode is just going to be rife with moments I embarrass myself. I cannot wait to tell you about what I did this week. But before that, happy birthday, Jeff Canada.
Thank
I hope
you.
that I'm able to keep your morning happy and interesting.
I'm sure you will. I have no doubt. We have some really fun chapters to talk about. We have chapters 11 and 12 of the Bonehunters that we're digging into this week. I had a blast with these chapters. So thrilling, so exciting, some surprises. We'll get into all of it. But first, we like to start with a non-spoiler topic. We love getting those topics from you, our viewers and listeners. You can always send us topics to talk about at the top of the show by sending us emails to dlcfeedback@gmail.com or by posting them on the Discord. Great place to hang out with folks. Really fun community there. That's 5x5 DLC on Discord. You can also post them right on our YouTube video as a comment. Any way you'd like to send those topics, we love getting them from you. But I have to say, because it's my birthday, I picked a topic today that is top of mind because my most prized birthday present that I got this morning from my mom and my sister, actually, is an order for the brand new broken binding editions of the first 3 Malazan Book of the Fallen novels. Woo, doggies, Gardens of the Moon, Dead House Gates, and Memories of Ice are being republished with brand new art, brand new formats, and it's from Broken Binding. If you're not familiar with Broken Binding, really cool sort of fantasy sci-fi focused publisher that takes beloved books and often does these kind of premiere edition republishing of the books. So cool that they've now set their sights on Malazan. The first 3 books are coming out in September. They just had a pre-sale, and the general sale just started like 2 days ago as of this recording.
Man.
So I thought go ahead, Lana.
I was just going to say, so nice that they're treating you right. That's a nice little, that's a nice gift. Holy
yes,
moly.
Very nice gift. One I will cherish. Like I said, I'm so excited. I also got an ice cream maker.
Oh, very nice
as well.
Very
so
nice.
Ice cream and reading sounds like a day. Anyway, I thought it'd be fun to kind of take a look at these new editions because they just went on sale. We're not trying to promote Broken Binding in any way. We get no, they're not sponsoring anything. We're not getting anything from this, but man, these books are great. We love them. And these editions look super cool. So I thought it'd be fun just to take a look and see if we can figure out what some of the art is. Lana and I were looking at them before we started recording, and we're not entirely sure what we're looking at in some of them.
Yeah, we tried to collect all the different pieces of art, but there does appear to be so much art on each of these books. They've got the dust jacket, they've got the cover underneath the dust jacket on the hardcover book, and 2 additional pieces of art, I think at the start, like interior paper, and then an end paper design as well. So, which I believe is like the inside cover of both sides of the book. So we tried to collect as many as we could.
Yeah.
Nobody on Reddit has made this easy for us and just been like, here's all of the art we found for these books.
Right. We'd love to have somebody just have broken it down so we could just regurgitate it to you, but we're actually going to have to try to figure it out on our own. So, mistakes will happen, and you'll correct us, I'm sure, because our community knows much more than we do about this stuff. But that's not going to stop us. And hey, how cool is it? That's one of the things that I like about Broken Binding is that it really does feel like labors of love with these republishing of these books, these hardcover editions. So much new artwork and really not cutting corners. It seems. I don't have one in my hand to tell you the quality in person yet because they don't ship until September. But it certainly looks like a lot of care was taken and so much art and so much new material was generated for these editions, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's start with the dust jacket art, Lana, which I think is very striking. Gardens of the Moon. What's that?
For the first one or for all of them?
Well, we'll step through them. Gardens of the Moon. Obviously, we have the Battle of, what is it called? It's not called the Battle of Moonspawn. It's the Battle of
Pale.
Pale. Yes, thank you. The Siege of Pale is
this
happening.
Is going to stretch my. I feel like this is like the equivalent of like flashcards.
This is why I do the show with you, is so you save me and make me not look terrible. My memory is so awful.
Yeah,
we literally have just spent the last year of our lives completely embedded in these novels, and I'm like, what was that one? Whatever. Anyway, I think the art looks awesome.
Oh, it looks so sick.
Moonspawn, sort of front and center, right behind the title of the novel. I love that. I mean, you're the artist. You're the graphic designer. You're the person who does this stuff for a living. You can break it down better than I.
Yeah, the things that I like about this is that there are so many reads. Like, even if you're just looking at it, you're like, oh, cool composition. But when you like know the book and you've already read this story, there's like, okay, oh, Moonspawn, first thing, oh, that's so sick. That is how I pictured it. And then you're like, oh, that must be Tashrin. And they're like, oh, what's in front of him? Oh, those other mages that he's about to slaughter. And then you're like, oh, there's all these people around. That's like the army. Oh, they're standing on a bunch of dead bodies. Oh, those are the raven. Oh, that's the crone and like the raven. Like every little piece of it is like layers on layers on layers of like every key moment from that scene snapshot and just like the action of it. The ravens flying. There's just the what are they? The standards of the pikes in the wind is just, there's action here, and it just feels great to look at. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, epic. And the lightning in the background sort of illuminating everything. It just looks so epic. Just gorgeous. I should have found the artist's name. Did you see it earlier? I thought you said.
I did see it. This one is by I lost it. I've clicked through many links.
I'll find it and put it up on the screen. So that's the dust jacket for Gardens of the Moon. Deadhouse Gates. I think we both agree this is likely Coltane astride a horse in the middle of a battle. Another epic scene. And I like the contrast of foreground and background elements, the sort of the helmet in the foreground right in front of him. So cool.
Yeah. The artist is Felix Ortiz.
Thank you. Just a beautiful. And the other thing that I like about these first three novels, and I hope continues as they move through all 10, is how each has a different color palette.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love the first one is this kind of reddish orange thing, and then we have these sort of yellows and grays, and then the third one is blue, this kind of bluish icy feel to it. It really makes each one have its own identity, but the fonts are, aligned, and there's a consistency through it too. It's just, I think it's going to look so beautiful on the shelf as well.
It's so beautiful on the shelf, and I do keep thinking about the artist, like. I would love a look behind the scenes at how the process for getting these books, the covers commissioned, went. Yeah. Does Felix know the books really well? Did he read the books? Or was it just like, here is the depiction that we want? Like, who was the director for these pieces? It feels like they're crafted with such love and care that there's like a familiarity with with the books themselves. But if not, then it's a great direction for Felix. It's they're really
Gorgeous.
really stunning.
And then the Memories of Ice dust jacket is, we believe, likely Itkovian, taking on the
he's releasing the Talana Mass. He's I forget the word that he used. That he's basically like absolving them. He's like letting them. He's letting them go. He's taking their burden off them. They're
well, we don't want to get too spoilery. I guess whatever. But yes, I do think no, it's okay. Just trying to keep the consistency.
You're right. Yep, the no spoilers
section. But another really cool scene, and again, like the contrast of each. There's like a consistency of the layout and sort of cinematography, if you will, of the shot. But each one is so distinct. It's not just like 3 battle scenes. It's 3 very different scenes and different moods in the scenes. I love the sort of murky sky behind him and how he's elevated above the height of all of the Talana Moss. It's just, these are so beautiful.
Yeah. And just that point of contrast, that key focal point being the space where there is the most contrast between him, backlit by this dusky, I don't, what time of day is it? Dusk? Is it dawn? Who knows?
Right.
It's beautiful.
And then, without the dust jacket, this is just the hardcover itself has different art entirely. And those, are much more environmental focused. They're places instead of people. They're sort of pulled back and larger in scope in a certain sense, not as focused in, and the scale is what I'm trying to say is different. And I love how that is consistent as well. The 3 covers here, of course, we have another view of Moonspawn, but it's sort of, Dutch angle, and it feels, huge in the frame and looming, and it's got all the flying creatures around it. So cool.
I love that the dust jackets are like crowds and battles and action, and the covers are like smaller scenes. And I feel like that pairing is such a great sort of, that's the great pairing of reading the books. You get these smaller scenes with these groups of people, these pockets of people that you're following, and then you get these crazy over the top battles that are just so powerful. And I feel like that is both those elements of the writing feel represented in the art that they've chosen for these different placements on the book. It's awesome.
Great point. Yeah. I love, such a huge part of Erikson's writing is that sense of place and being in a place that feels lived in and has history. And so the fact that places are kind of front and center on the hardcover themselves is rad. So open to corrections, but seems like the second novel, the Dead House Gates hardcover, is that moment when they find the Azath house.
I think we are going to have to spoiler tag. It's hard to talk about these things. We might have to go back and be like, hey, spoilers starting because we're talking about all these covers.
I'm trying to be as vague as I can be, but you're right. It is these technically spoilers. And then the third one, I don't know if we've figured out exactly what this castle is. Obviously, ice.
It's not. Prominent. It's not when they find the Azath house. No, that is, that's Ghost Hands.
Right, you're right.
Ghost handing it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is. Is it them who found the Azath house? Now I'm forgetting.
Isn't it? Felicin and Bowden and Haborek and that crew that find it. They climb down the thing, and didn't they? Isn't that where they find it?
You're right. I thought I was getting it confused because I was like, oh yeah, then they had. I was trying to remember who was walking through the pathways to get there, but I guess I thought there was more of them, but maybe it's just showing these 3. It doesn't matter.
I mean, we'll get corrections, cool. I'm sure.
That's
I'm not
definitely
exactly sure.
Haborek. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah. And the third one, yeah, I'm not really exactly sure what structure that is, but very cool. Icy castle looking thing, and then there's 3 figures down in the bottom right.
That's gotta be Lady Envy and her
Mm,
pets, and then like her guardians, and what is that? Then Talk the Younger in
yeah,
there, and they were traveling through, and they were like, "Oh yeah, remember all the
right.
ice tore up this city? Wacky."
Yeah,
Anyway, so this is actually interesting to me because it was not like a massive scene in the book. It wasn't like it felt like they were kind of passing through with them, and it was interesting, and it was visually something that sort of stuck in my mind, but it wasn't the focal point of the book by any means. But
right.
that's got to be what it is, because she had her pets that I think were puppy dogs, and she was traveling with those folks.
Yeah. And then you found, I didn't even see this, but the Endpaper artwork has been revealed, at least for 2 of the 3,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like, as of this recording. One of them, an epic undead dragon. It looks undead. Or
Yeah.
fire
And
dragon. Epic dragon.
It's
Screaming.
it's the Tanaman dragon, but the dragging the Salanda through the Warren
Right.
fire.
Yes. Right. And then this looks like the second one is the moment where Tattersail Reborn, or what's her name, Reborn? Shaik Reborn says no.
Which
Right?
one? Is
The
it the
second
one
one with the girl with the book?
Oh, I don't even see that one.
No?
That's one of the ones I didn't find, because
So
I
there's
found another
there's like an
one.
up angle of a girl with her hand over a book, which I'm thinking is the Drijna, and it's Shaik Reborn, right, saying, eh.
Oh gosh, I'm looking for it now.
Here, let me send you the link.
Okay, great.
But it's awesome looking. I've sent it on the.
I can see it.
There you go.
Oh, be a spoiler. Yes, no, I did not see that. You're totally right. And there's our buddy Karsa.
You think that's Karsa?
You can see he's got the tattoos on his face.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's just amazing stuff. And like I said, we're not getting anything. We're not trying to promote these books or anything. But I got them for my birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see them in September when they arrive, and excited to see the next 3. I guess they're doing them 3, 3, 4 maybe, but
Yeah. The last one I want to mention, just because the artist is different than Felix Ortiz's, Renee Agne. It's Gruntle and Stawny.
Oh right.
About to get some Tenniscoury.
That one looks rad too.
And if you go to this person's ArtStation page, you can see that they created a 3D scene to inform their
Positioning.
art, which is so cool. They posed all the characters and then painted over top of it.
Incredible.
They made a little ambient occlusion scene there, which I have not seen an illustration process like that.
That one looks to me like it's a Renaissance art from a biblical scene.
Yeah.
It's like something I would see in a museum that's from the Renaissance.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
So
and the Gruntle's like
tiger stripes.
So rad. So rad. Yeah. And the blood on the steps, like just subtle blood dripping down the steps.
Subtle blood smeared everywhere once you look closer.
Just an entire building full of corpses. Anywho. Anyway, so that was fun. I don't know if everybody has checked those out. I don't know how quickly they're going to sell out. As the whole idea behind Broken Binding, I think, is that they do a finite print run. So when they're gone. But yeah, I got mine. I'm excited. Can't wait to.
I did not know that was their thing, and now I will be speaking to my husband about this.
All right. Well, let's jump into our chapters because we got a lot to dig into. Spoilers continuing now. For chapter 11, we first.
This is where I have to tell you the embarrassing thing that I did.
Oh, okay.
And
embarrassing thing
I
did
feel
you do?
like everybody's going to be like, wow, that is really disappointing for you. And I agree. It wasn't a bad experience, but it's certainly not the intended experience. When I go to read the books, I go and I see how long the chapters are so that I can set aside the right amount of time for it. And usually it's fine. I'll just read Wednesday night and it's good. But how late in the day do I play some games first? And I go to the, So I checked forward in the book, and then I was like, oh, okay, great, time to start reading. And I didn't push the buttons right, and then I didn't really read, and I read chapter 12 first.
No! Oh, no!
I was like, it wasn't.
This is like the worst week for that to happen.
I couldn't, it wasn't, like if you go and look through it, there was obviously a pretty jarring moment, but like the way that it was written was not out of character for for what happened. And I was like, dang, I guess he's gonna wake up and tell us what happened.
Oh no.
And then I clicked at the end of the chapter and I was like, wait a second, that says chapter 13.
Oh my goodness.
So if my details are a little out of order, it's because I'm an idiot.
That hurts my heart this week because I just was floored by
it.
Yes. It comes out of nowhere. We'll get to it. All right, we start.
And let me tell you, I agree.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere for you. We'll have to talk about it when we get there because I'm so curious if you were just like, oh, yeah, no, I expected this to happen. Oh, man. Okay, so chapter 11 starts with Hiboric having some real inner thoughts about Icarium and about his sort of position in this whole upcoming war and being the destriant. He's kind of working through it. While Solara is like, it just sucks to be pregnant. It's not great.
Well, I really like that Hiboric is like talking about inner thoughts, but also as outer thoughts. So I think this is the first time we've been in his brain in a minute.
Yeah.
And I really liked that he was like, he's having these like obviously fully formed thoughts, but then it's clear when he says out loud, like one random sentence.
Yeah.
And people are like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that checks out. That, there's a longer conversation going on in his head, but seeing what that is and seeing how the glimpses feel unrelated to what they're doing.
Totally. Yeah, we've been hearing everybody else around him in the last several chapters have been like, he's just muttering to himself, muttering and weird and like going insane. And then you get inside his head and you're like, oh no, he's really working through some stuff. So then, Solara rides up to Crocus and she's like, hey, I don't even know where he's leading us. Where are we even going? This is all this like dead roads. And she's kind of thinking about how, her mom had a hard time and the Bidithal's cult was taking advantage of people, again, echoes to the real world with religious cults. And the sort of very convenient, hey, all you got to do is die and everything's great.
Yes.
Not to insult anybody's faith, but it does seem pretty convenient that all you got to do to get to the promised land is
work yourself until you die.
Yeah.
Yes. I also like that Crocus is like just riding ahead, kicking up all the flies, and they're riding behind, dealing with the flies.
All the flies stuff was an awesome idea.
Yeah.
To have a battle in the middle of flies that we're about to get to, but like setting it up to where there's so many flies that they're just enveloped in them and they're on every surface of their horses, of their bodies. It's just like, you got to keep your mouth closed or all.
Any bit of moisture, it like sets up like that annoyance and like how like, you're dealing with that for so long. It's like the only thing you can really perceive, like nothing else, everything, like you're like, where are we? We're going nowhere. Why are we being led in these directions? And it's like, well, if you look, you can kind of start seeing stuff, but it's like the flies are there. The flies are just there.
And I love how they get down to that basin or whatever it is, and they see all the flies, and they're like, are we really going to ride into that? And they're like, that's the way to go. And like, oh, I really don't want to ride through that. They do. It's just so visceral.
Mm-hmm.
So then we cut over to Iskarol Pust and Mogora, who are still, taking care of Mappo. And Iskarol is doing his classic thing where his inner monologue is being said out loud. So funny.
And they're, I guess, acting like a married couple.
So funny. So funny. That whole part where, I mean, we might not be at it yet, but that whole part where they just start attacking each other, and it's sort of like, it's sort of angry, but it's also sort of sexual, and it's it's this like
this animal moment.
Yeah, it's like, and Mappo has this whole dream, and then he wakes up and looks over, and they're like, "Don't mind us, we're married." It's so funny, very, very funny. But yes, Mappo does have this kind of vision where he sees Ardata, who is, we just were introduced to recently, where Cotillion told Mogora, hey, you must be one of Ardatas. And now here is Ardata, the queen of spiders or whatever. Mm-hmm. And one assumes that he sees her in his dream because she and her spiders have mended him and saved him. Yeah.
I like how briefly you're like, is this Mogra?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, check it out, I'm young.
Right.
Mogra's going to pay for this. And I was like, oh, I guess not.
Yeah. And Shadow Throne, we find out, wants to defeat the Nameless Ones and wants Mappo's help to do so. Mm-hmm. Nameless Ones really being set up as an antagonist, which at this point in my reading of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, I am looking forward to finding out how the Nameless Ones have a very legitimate position.
They are truly misunderstood.
Yes. But awesome. Really, really cool. And then, yes, he wakes up and he's like, well, what's going on? And they're fighting. Just being married couple. Then we cut over to...
Sorry, I also like how the healing, he's like covered in webs.
Oh, yeah.
And Pust is like, you got to get those webs off before he wakes up. And they're like, nah, shut up. But then as soon as he starts stirring it, they're like, the webs. And like trying to clear them off of him. I don't know if that's just because he wouldn't be able to like see or breathe or just be freaky or...
Doesn't he have like the lines? I imagine a Spider-Man suit looking pattern on his body.
They took them off and like there was like a price to pay for being healed that way. So his skin, I think of it almost like Toblakai's face tattoo.
Right.
In that now he's like permanently has the lines of where Spider-Man. The webs were.
Yeah.
Spider Mappo.
Spider Mappo does whatever a spider can. So then we head over to Gano's Piran, who continues to be escaping things. There is a giant one-eyed bear thing.
That was the thing where we're like, it's like the Deragoth or something. It's like, no, it's another freaky beast. There it is.
Freaky beast.
Wow. And that scene was so ridiculous. We're like picturing it. I'm like, wow, so cool. It's they say the sort of scales on its back are the size of bucklers, like the description of that thing. One-eyed thing. I'm like, oh, that thing is awesome. And they're running and they're like, it's gaining, baby. They are not going to make it. And let me tell you, I was with the TTG when it's like, why did you make us run this whole time if you could turn around and do that thing with the card? Why are we running? What was the point? But see, it's not like he was building up to it and they're like, okay, just almost there. It's like they stopped. He's like, fine.
Well, I love how it described him as like muttering magic words under his breath. And he's like, just 4 little words. And he tosses the thing. And it's just this awesome, like he tosses it and it disappears. And they're like, oh, thank goodness. What were those magic words you said? And he's like, I hope this works. It's awesome.
Did he banish it? Did he add it to the deck? Did he turn it into the card? Did he just eviscerate it like Gambit? Like, what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Neat scene, though. So then they arrive at the top of this hill. They look down. They see the Deragoth statues that we had seen. Karsa, no, Onrak and Troll smash two of them, which is what started this whole problem, right?
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about the scene where Onrak is like, I can take this. And then the dogs are like,
yeah, so funny. And he, Gnos is like, what should we do? And Hedge is like, well, maybe, he wants to release them. He's like, hey, why don't you blow up the statues? And Hedge is like, well, maybe if we do that, they'll rush into the Shadow Realm to try to find their little puppy friends. And he's like, oh, I didn't think of that. I didn't really think of that. I kind of just act without thinking sometimes.
He's like, oh, yeah, the other ones did do that. And now they're dead. I really wanted them to just like go where I wanted them to go. Yeah. Bummer.
And we find out that first Emperor Decimbalacus is the one that used the Deragoth. The Deragoth existed beforehand. In fact, we know that the Deragoth are what enslaved the aerosol. They domesticated the aerosol in a sort of doggy human
role reversal
inversion.
Yeah.
So they existed before, but Decimbalacus was like, I know what I'll do. I'll split my soul into 7 of these doggy dogs. And that's how the Deragoth became that, because they were dying out. And he's like, I'll save 7 of them. So they find all these footprints, and then like the feet are too wide. They're trying to figure out who these people are. And they walk into this temple and find the 2 drivers of the other TTG carriage ritually murdered.
Yeah.
Pretty dark.
The way that they walked in being like, we know what's in here. They're like, we're just gonna check it out. And then they have like this knowing moment. Is that because they think that Carpelin Bemermerm it will like freak out if he knows? It's like, they're like, he's not dumb. He's going to figure it out in a second.
Right.
Why?
I also am not certain about that. It felt like there was a big secret they were trying to hide, but it may very well just be his friend or coworker or the person in his role has been so, mutilated that it will be psychologically scarring for him.
Was the ritual murder there when Onrak and Troll were there?
I don't think so. I think that happened in the time period between. And I think what happened was, they have this whole conversation about how there was this high mage who decided to try to draw the Deragoth there with this ritual. And there's this discussion between Perrin and Hedge about how the people are kind of getting caught up in it, and Perrin's like, I don't have any sympathy for them anymore. I'm seeing this. I have no sympathy for them. And Hedge is like, well, maybe they just got caught up in it. And the high mage is really the one who did it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a mystery about kind of who did that and what that was about exactly.
Yeah.
But then Perrin's like, I know who I can call. I'll get on the horn with Shadow Throne. And he uses his FaceTime card.
Yeah. It is exactly. I didn't think about it like beep, boop, beep, beep, beep. My tarot cards now.
Like, I see animated. You. Do you see me? I see you. You got to hold the card closer to your face, Shadow Throne.
Not that close. Further from your face. Yeah.
Shadow Throne is like your grandpa, Grandpa. No, I see. You can't hold it on your chin.
No, you're muted. You're muted.
And I love this interaction because we haven't gotten tons of Shadow Throne / Kalinved characterization. We don't kind of know who he, like what
No,
kind
he's a
of person he
little
is.
weirdo.
He's a jerk. He's a jerk. He's like, oh, these idiots. You're an idiot. They're all idiots. What am I doing? Why am I wasting my time talking to you idiots?
Let me listen to your plan. It's so stupid. I never would have thought of it because I'm not an idiot. It might work, but it's so dumb.
And he like hangs up on him, and Gnos is like, I think he's gonna do it. I think
that went well. I think that went well.
I think he's into it. So funny.
I also
anyway,
because we've seen a couple like little scenes with Kalinved. One where he's like with the Aptorian.
Yeah,
and Aptorian's like, I want to adopt this baby. He's like, you only got one baby. And he's kind of being like a weird little sweetie pie to his demon friend. And I feel like the fact that he's like, all of you are stupid. Everybody's stupid. It's like you can see his mounting stress of, we get like the other people's talking about like Kalinved and Dancer's plan and telling us what it is. We never really hear it from them, but we hear people saying, oh, well, they took this throne so that they could be gods. Oh no, they were trying to be gods so that they can, we get more of that story through this, never from them. But the thing that I think is pretty clear from the way that other people talk about it is like, it's not exactly going to plan. And everybody kind of knows that. In this scene, I think that's pretty apparent. Just
like, I'm busy. I'm trying to figure this out. You're calling me about the card?
Because you're releasing some of the most violent animal. Oh God, fine, stupid.
So basically, Perrin wants Shadow Throne to send the Hounds of Shadow to 7 cities so that the Deragoth won't go into the Shadow Realm. So basically, like send them, have them be the bait, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like he's going to do it, even though he hates the idea. So then we have this moment where Hedge is like, okay, I'm going to blow him up, but there's not enough. There's too much room between them. We're not going to have enough room. We're not going to be able to get away. It's all going to explode. We'll die. You guys go ahead. I'm already dead. No big deal. You guys go on ahead, and I'll stay and make sure this all blows up and all these Deragoth gets freed. Don't even worry about me. And the TTG carriage goes into the it blows up.
Mm-hmm.
The Deragoth, they hear the growling of the Deragoth. They're like, go, go, go. They go into the warren. And then all of these undead hands start ripping at their face. Just bad turn.
Even just
took
the
a wrong
way
turn
that
at Albuquerque.
They the warren opened like a blister.
Oh yeah,
I was
that
like,
was so rad.
Oh man, nasty.
It like popped like and fluid. And I think he writes something along the lines of blood or some other fluid. Like it's just an unidentifiable goop.
And then them going through and interesting, the undead being like, oh, please take us with you. You're not taking us with you. We will devour you. Like within like 3 sentences, they're like, please help us. We'll kill you. It was like an interesting little descent. Is it clear what warren that was, or that's just how messed up the warrens are?
I'm not sure we get a definitive explanation of what warren that is, but then Ganath opens Amtos Falak, and they go into that warren as an escape.
Yes.
And then that's when they hit the land of ice, and the carriage starts spinning and
everywhere.
flipping. It's such a rad. I just imagine it so vividly in my head of them spinning out and falling down this icy mountain, and everybody getting crushed. All the
somebody
shareholders
strapped to the carriage just stayed strapped, but just crushed beneath it. Ooh.
And then that fun line at the end of, we've had worse. It's been worse.
We've had worse times.
Amazing. And then we have this really interesting little scene where Hedge is like, they bought it.
Yes.
And he was hiding, made them leave, had to stay behind. And I don't know, it had this sort of creepy overtone of betrayal, but I don't know if that's a misread of what he's doing. Because there's some sense of him just wanting to like atone for his own misdeeds or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's like a nobility that he stayed hidden and is going to sort of walk on his own and try to find his own redemption, or if there was really sort of like a sinister side to it.
It feels like because we perceive Paran in like a very positive light, that the edge of mystery there of like, why wouldn't he want to tell him like, I'll be fine,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to go with you? Like, why? It's just the fact that there is any secrecy at all that makes it feel duplicitous.
Yeah.
But then it makes me be like, who sacrificed the bodies again? Who did the ritual killing? Was it ghosts? Was it hedge ghosts? I don't know. But it felt to me either like, you know, the duplicity, or that he's finally like, oh, I did it. I faked my own death. Now I can be alone. Because it's not, I did not have
I
a clear
wasn't
picture
sure
of the
if
motive.
there was like this nobility to his, nobody else can do this for me. I have to be alone. I have to find absolution, you know, or if there was some sort of plan that he had that he couldn't tell anybody about. I don't know if that's the last we see of Hedge of Hit. If that scene is him walking off into the sunset, or if that's
Him walking into the Crippled God's tent or something.
Yes, or walking to some later reveal. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. But then we have a series of scenes that are pretty intense, where we're back with Haborik, Solara, Cutter. They're in the swarm of bugs. It's awful. And then out of nowhere, horsey head severed, Solara stabbed, Crocus bisected, entrails spilling out, Haborik stab. I was like, what?
And I was like, oh. Oh, that's okay.
That makes more sense now. Yeah.
It also changed the tone of the later scene because what's his face? I keep saying Barbasol in my head. I know.
My heart.
But like the later scene seems so suspicious because he's like, it's definitely Talana Moss. And I was like, is it? I didn't see any.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, this scene, I still like, I mean, I once we get further ahead, I can talk about what my experience is like and why I think it was actually still okay, not as impactful as it could have been. But the scene of being like, we're covered in flies, the flies are swarming constantly, and then the dust being around, like if you're just walking through like this dusty desert, you know, dust is just like a part of things. But then I love at some point somebody talks about, maybe it's later, like the smell of the Talana Moss, and like you can like the decaying smell of the dust is part of like their presence. And I think that was mentioned here too, of like it's flies and it's gross, and then there's dust, and it's like, oh no, that dust is cutting my horse in half. This dust is cutting me in half. It's actually Talana Moss killing us all. And then I don't think it's clear what is happening to Felison the Younger in this scene.
We don't get any view of her at all.
Yeah.
And we're just sort of inside Haborik and Solara and Crocus's POVs, and we get them getting obliterated. I mean, not even a chance to fight back. There's nothing. We just it's so out of nowhere and crazy where Haborik like starts feeling these animal. I mean, it's almost like his spider sense goes off, or tiger sense in this case, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just get obliterated.
His Haborik's arm is like fully sliced off, which to me, I'm like, oh come on, man, he's already got no hands. But then like so interesting that from his point of view, you know, it's talking like he had no hands, but he had these hands that were like a sensation, and those have been cut off, and he lost his vision, but his vision was returned because of Treach. And the last thing he sees before he's like plummeted back into oblivion is not only them like stabbing him once, but like stabbing him and stabbing him and stabbing him
Yeah.
and stabbing him. And it's like a resentfulness and a thoroughness that's like, oh, pretty rarely I'm like, he gone. But I'm like,
Oof.
he gone.
So brutal. And with Crocus like having his entrails spill out, I was like, oh no. I don't know if we can come back from that.
So
Well,
sad.
We find out. And Solara, of course, pregnant. I'm like, no. Oh, that scene was very intense for me.
Yeah.
Incredible out of nowhere. And then that not only ends chapter 11, it ends book 2. And then we start book 3, Shadows of the King, with chapter 12, where we're back with Samar Dev and Karsa Orlong. They have this interesting, they're skinning the veteran that they've killed, that Karsa has killed. They're cutting it up for meat. And up walks this native tribe, the Anabar tribe, and this person who identifies themselves as boat finder.
Mm-hmm. I thought this scene was interesting because, we don't know that much about Samar Dev, but like being an inventor and like, I don't know, making cars and living in the city, suddenly she's like a translator and knows the intent of what these people are talking about through the whole scene, which I just thought that was like, that's not how I would have placed her in like what her skill set is. And maybe it's something to do with, her witchiness and like some amount of magic, but her familiarity with their way of speaking and like their traditions. They're offering you this because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, oh, the frozen time. I loved all the time stuff.
Awesome.
So cool. So they walk up and they're like, like a little bit like cowing and bowing. And they saw Karsa take down the Behedron and
please take my penis.
In exchange, you can kill all of our tormentors. Karsa's. I just love that Karsa, like, we're not in his head at all, but you see him seeing his own people, and you see him saying, like, you can't, if you're going to offer me something, you do it standing. Like, he's teaching them lessons, and the awe that these people have for him in that, like, he basically has been a prophet, has foretold that Karsa wielding the special weapon will come and save their people. They are like revering him in a way, and you can see him hating that and being like, no, I'm going to teach you how to not do these things. I am definitely going to come kill these people because that is unacceptable, and that's what I do. But in the meantime, you're going to learn how to stand up for yourself. And I liked how instantly that it like piqued Karsa's greatest annoyances.
Agreed. Yeah, it's really cool. And he's like, I will murder every last one. And Samar's like, before you vow anything that may take a long time, let's think about it and vow. Let's like pull back on the vow. Let's just like contract our vow obligations.
I thought that was also interesting because that to me almost says like, did Samar know that a vow would like be something very significant to Karsa? Yeah. Because vowing was like a big part of the book with Karsa, like when we first met Karsa, of like doing these vows, but it really was like he was like reverting back to the space where like he does act on like that intense instinct, because he seemed to be like chilled out a bit in that way as he is forced to be around other people. So it was interesting for him to immediately be like, I'm vow to kill these people, and Samar to catch that and stop that from happening. I don't know if it was coincidence or if she has like some kind of awareness that that's like, it would have been something more intense.
Yeah, I think she definitely gets that he's if he says something, he's gonna do it.
True.
And you're right about all the time stuff. I love the description of the past is the frozen time, the present is the flowing time, and the future is the unfound time. Really, really cool stuff. And all of this backstory about a King Iskar Jarak, who is this Malazan who, came to them and said, hey, I'm not going to wipe you out, but people are coming that will. So get out of Dodge, go somewhere else. And they moved. And there's also this thing about like a bridge between time, and she, boat finder sees it burning. And I was like, bridge burning? And he's Malazan? Bridge burning?
Oh,
I don't know.
I
thought
did
that was
not.
interesting.
The thing that I thought about, and I couldn't make like a fire connection, was, I mean, we've seen a bunch of bridges. I think in this book we saw the bridge that Paran
Paran,
was going over, and then
Yeah.
there was the bridges in the sort of Kachin Shamale
Yep.
fallen moonspawn that was busted. That was
Yeah.
like Mappo and Icarium kind of finding bridges and ways across.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what
Interesting.
this
I don't know
bridge
if that's
is.
a intentional connection, but anytime I see a bridge burning, I'm like, bridge burners?
Yeah.
And especially because he was very specifically called out as being Malazan. I don't know.
I did not think about that at all. That's, I think, a great connection.
So then we head over to Icarium, who is now hanging out with Terralac Veed, but it seems like Icarium is getting a little bit of the uh-oh feeling about Terralac.
Yes,
And is like,
interesting.
are you really my friend? He's like, yeah, dude. In fact, here's the whole situation, and lays it all out. And my reading is Terralac is straight up telling the truth.
That's also my reading. Is
Okay.
like, especially because like the context we get like from Mappo, to jump just a tiny bit ahead of them being like, yeah, the nameless ones replaced you. Like Mappo was placed there by the nameless ones, but he was such a genuine friend to Icarium. They're like, then you did your job too well, and the nameless ones are like, no, we don't want that anymore. So he has like a different directive. The only thing that seems, there's a couple things that are interesting to me that makes it seem not like the truth is at one point, I guess it was the script that they gave him to be like, I am your buddy. If you don't believe that I'm your buddy, then maybe you don't believe that you killed all those people, and you did. So how do you feel about that?
That's what my question was, is because he was very specifically saying, these are the words that were given to me to say.
Yeah.
And sometimes the greatest lie is the truth, right? Sometimes the greatest tool in manipulating someone is telling them the truth, because then they can't, it's ironclad in a certain sense. So maybe the nameless one's plan was just tell him the absolute truth, but it feels like they had gone through such effort to hide the truth from him that
now it feels suspicious.
Right. So I'm like, oh, because this all reads to me as the truth, but also Terralac Veed is there to manipulate and to gaslight and to, I've always been your buddy. I've always been the one you've been with. So I was a little questioning my own sanity of, is this the absolute truth? Because he straight up says, your dad was in the Azath house. You wanted to break him out. You destroyed the Azath house, releasing all the big nasties out into the world. Your dad didn't even want to leave. All of that stuff we know to be true. Right?
Yeah.
We met his dad. He's still in the Azath house. Like, I like it here. Icarium wanted to break me out, but this is a pretty sweet gig. So all of that seems true. And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that the thing that I think sows the seeds of doubt for Icarium more than anything is the fact that I love how Terralac Veed, because we're in his head a little bit, we can feel how disingenuous he is. Yeah. Mappo, he's like feeling feelings, and he's like knowing he's keeping things from Icarium, but it's born of this like a tenderness, and like his genuineness is in the feelings that he has for his friend.
Right.
Terralac Veed is like, small smile should do here. It's like, it reads to me as somebody who's like acting so hard that you're like, I don't know you, but I just know you're lying about something. And the fact that we see him like calculating his facial expressions, no matter how much truth he's saying, I could be like, well, I like the color green you're wearing.
Yeah.
And like, I could say it in such a way that you're like, you're saying it like you do, but you sound like you don't. And I feel like that is the vibe I'm getting from this scene.
100%, 100%. And that's why I kept going, is there a lie in all this truth?
I know.
Because he even tells him, like, you and I haven't been together the whole time. You've had other companions. You know, it's just stuff that Mappa wouldn't have told him, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting how forthright he was about all the backstory stuff. And maybe it's just the Nameless Ones using a different tactic now.
Now they're trying to feels like they are close enough to whatever their mission is that they want to unleash Icarium as a weapon somehow. And it feels like they have a different tactic because now they have a different use case for Icarium.
Yeah. So then we finally get back, from my perspective, finally. For you, it's like, wow, weird. Finally get back to the Tlanamas attack on our friends. We're in the perspective of Barathal Mekar.
Barathal.
Who, awesome dude. We saw him in the prologue. Haven't really seen much of him since, but he's this blacksmither dude. Badass backstory. Finds the body is all sliced up. And I love how this all plays out. I'm very curious your perspective as somebody who read it out of order. But the whole like interaction with Barathal and the healing lady from the village, and her like barking orders at all the people and asking them to do things. And she's like, we're going to stuff these innards back inside Crocus. And she's like, you're getting dirt all in his inside. She's like, I'm going to clean it.
How can I clean it? Get me boiling water. He's like, you're going to boil him? Like, that's not a recipe for maintaining his physical integrity. And then they like drag him inside and she's like, it's full of flies in here. And it's like, yeah, no kidding.
I just thought she was rad though. She's like, no, these people are not dying on my watch. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do, but I'm going to do everything I can to make this not happen.
Yeah. I thought it was great.
Dude. So like one of those classic Erikson things where just a brand new, completely side character behaves in the coolest way. And you immediately are like, I love this character.
I loved this whole scene. If we haven't even talked about Grey Frog, like hopping with his mouth open, little buddy.
And getting arms all sliced off.
Poor buddy.
Poor buddy.
But so my perspective of this scene and why I think that reading it out of order, it wasn't like, I wasn't immediately like, something's wrong here. There's like this crazy scene. The thing that felt suspicious was like Barathal being like, it was definitely Tlanamas. People saw it and feeling like so confident in that after having, like, from my perspective, not seen that. And I guess he's just guessing from the wounds or whatever. But the fact that Paran was not dead, just eviscerated.
Not Paran, you mean Crocus.
Crocus, sorry. Yeah. Crocus. I was like, oh, he's going to be healed and then wake up and tell everybody what happened. And then we never see that bit, or it's not real or something. So because
a very plausible Erikson thing to do.
it felt not out of character for the writing.
Yeah.
And so while it was like, oh my God. And then I'm like, is Grey Frog really dead? I can't believe how much I cared the most about Grey Frog. I'm like, oh, headbreak, bummer. Grey Frog? Unceremonious? But he has like the saddest last little line.
I know.
But so the scene was like very interesting, and just like my perspective of who these characters were, what they meant, what was real or not. And then, in comes Leoric.
Incredible moment. Because you have this stranger walking up, and there's a whole interaction between Barathal and a nameless figure that we have no idea who could possibly be. At least I didn't. They have this whole interaction, and then he identifies himself as Leoric, and I was like, oh snap. And then saying I also love how Barathal is piecing it together, is like detectiving it out. He's the investigator going, well, this Haboric guy, he's the one who clearly they were after because he got stabbed the most times.
And his arms are fully cut off. Like, this
Yeah.
is the guy who mattered.
This was a hit on this guy. And to me, reading it, I'm like, makes total sense. They want to kill the Destriant for some reason. But kill
there's a
Treach's
war.
Destriant.
There's war among the gods. So even war among the gods, kill Treach's Destriant. Then you have Leoric coming in to try and get Felicid Younger, who he's been looking after in the previous book, and then realizing like that was supposed to be for the Queen of Dreams, some other god, but she's been abducted by somebody else now, I guess, because she's not in the crime scene. But there were like enough horses for people.
And that's that awesome moment where Berthol's like, oh no, there should be one other person here. It wasn't a hit on this guy. It was a kidnapping. And they only killed this guy because he was the biggest threat. That's why they made sure to put him down for surezies, in a very violent way. And I love that, figuring it out. And then that moment where he's like, the Talana Moss abducted someone. They're not supposed to be able to transport other people through the dust like that. That's not supposed to be possible. Mm-hmm. And then we find out later, there's that cool scene later where Colat was like, we broke all these rules to get you here. I was like, that's rad.
To me, that is like, wait, they only don't do that because of rules?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know what does rules mean in this context?
Yes,
is the question. Anyway, but Leoric showing up is like, oh, you are persona non grata, Leoric. You're not supposed to be doing nice things anymore. And we find out, he had this deal with the Queen of Dreams, and she told him, oh, we've already chosen who the next Shaik is going to be. And I like how they're like, we don't even have to change the name on the forms.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, actually.
It's like, so nice. It's so convenient for us, Like,
just
we can still keep the same placard on the office door. It's great,
Yeah, just get the label maker, be like, the younger.
Listen, it works. It works. But amazing that was what that was all about, is that the Talana Moss stole her before Leoric could come and get her for the Queen of Dreams to become Shaik Reborn.
But what I think is interesting is she was stolen, but even by the people she was stolen by, they still called her Shaik Reborn.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who she was being captured by. The intent is the same. That was interesting.
Crazy.
Poor
Felicid the Younger, by the way. Talk about a life you have zero control over.
Brutal.
You've just been thrown from one place to another, given names that you didn't want. It's just like, oof.
Yeah.
So before we even move on from that,
okay.
Also, Solara gives birth. To a blue baby. It was Nippon, right? So the Nippon are the blue people. Mm-hmm. Now, I was like racking my brain, like, who do we know is Nippon?
Same.
I don't know who.
I should have looked it up. I should
know who the dad is, just from hearing that it's Nippon. Was Bidethal Nippon? I don't remember.
I know. Somebody will tell us. That was one of the things that I was like, oh, I should really look that up. I did not, though. Because I was like, were the guards? I don't think the guards were.
I don't remember who is Nippon. But I feel like that was supposed to be a big moment where I'm supposed to put that together, and I didn't.
Yeah, me neither.
Still amazing, though, that she, like, the baby is saved. Crocus's intestines get pushed back in and his body's sealed up. Leoric is like healing people. Amazing. Those types of rug pull, all the people you care about murdered. Oh, wait, no, they're okay. Those can feel cheap sometimes when authors try to pull that. This did not to me. This felt like, oh, thank goodness. Oh my gosh, I'm relieved, and it's totally earned and a really cool payoff to all of that. I just felt like, I mean, different for you because it was out of order, but it still felt to me amazing and not cheap,
I definitely still felt that in such a way that it was like, all these people are sliced open, and then it was like, this one's still alive. I was like, you dang right. You're not doing my boy Crocus like that. He dies off camera. No way. No way.
Even on camera, I was saying no way.
Yeah.
Not after all this. I do think could totally be wrong. I do think Haborik is dead, but totally could be wrong.
But I thought Hedge was dead.
Yeah, that's true.
So
too.
Hebrik is definitely a ghost. Hebrik, ghost, everything.
There's a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons why Haborik might not be dead. And,
Yeah.
a lot of reasons.
It
felt like the most dead of the deads.
Lorik, they go inside. They're doing some healing, and in the meantime, I think Lorik looks over at. Why do I keep saying Barbasol? What's his name?
Grey Frog?
Barathol.
Oh, Barathol. Barbasol. Isn't that the school of modeling?
Barbasol's like what they put the comb in at the hairdresser to clean it up. Barathol, he like looks over at him. He's like, I know who you are, bucko.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what of it? And they like have his weapon out on the table, and he's like, I'm just getting the rum. And he's like, I would be crazy to let you near that weapon. He's like, yeah, but is it so crazy? Because like my weapon's not that far, and anybody else who might tell you how crazy it really was are dead. So do you really think you want to do this right now, bro? And I'm like, are you Kalam's dad? Are you his brother? What are you?
We got all this information that he he opened the gates, and I think this was the Aaron rebellion that was started. Like he started it, and everybody chased him out of town, and then he just murdered everybody that was chasing him. But yes, he's definitely a badass who Lorik is like, I can't let you live, and he's like, you can't
kill me.
You don't have anything to say about it, no, bro. We also find out that the Tanaman who attacked them are the Unbound.
The Unbound,
which are the same as the 7 faces in the rock from Karsa Orlong's tribe. So they're just up to no good. They're just a rogue.
And the Unbound are not the nameless ones.
No.
Great.
Unbound are the Tanaman that are not bound to the
rules,
oath or the ritual. The ritual.
Yes,
that they
yes,
did.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rule breakers, the rebels.
Yeah. So then we cut over to find out the fate of Felicin the Younger. And we meet up with Kulat, who we had name checked as being part of Barathal's crew or city that he lived in. He's a seneschal for the Crippled God. He's like the consigliere, like a lieutenant for the Crippled God. And they're like, hey, so you're Shaik Reborn. Good news, bad news. You're not dead. You're reborn.
Yes, I have the plague, but I still want to touch you.
Yeah.
And they took her. She like looks around and recognizes where she is. They had like walked by this. There's the scene that we sort of glossed over when they're walking, Cutter and Heberick, and like it's the first scene where they're like, where the heck are we going? And it's like, there's signs, there's a city here. The place that we're walking on was an elevated road. All of this has been buried, this is this city. And so she says, she like looks around, Felicin looks around and is like, oh, you've taken me back somewhere. But I can't tell if where they took her back is to that city that they already walked by, or if it's to the where the whirlwind was being staged. I couldn't tell where back was.
Right. She's mad that they went back, and she recognizes it, but they like prepared this underground place for her to be
her palace.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if she starts taking on that Shaik attitude that the first Felicin got, that was sort of like, encroaching on her psyche.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know if being Shaik means that you are a vessel for the whirlwind goddess, no matter what.
Right.
The whirlwind goddess, was she actually destroyed or dispelled? Or
it's an excellent point.
And so I think it's a question of, what does Shaik Reborn mean now?
Right. Yeah. Well, we shall find out, because this seems like a big development. And why are the why are the unbound Talanomas like working for the Crippled God? That feels like new information too. I don't know if maybe we had heard that before and I didn't clock it, but
Well, when they talked to Karsa where they like, you're gonna build a sword, bro, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna build a sword. I'm gonna make my own sword, and then he slices one of them in half.
right.
They're like, there's a guy, you don't actually have to bow to him, but you would love him. You would get along so well.
That's
So
right.
we did know that they were working with him.
Good memory. That's right. All right. So next scene we have we're back with Iskarel Pust and Mappo, and Cotillion's like, hey, I'm here. And I brought my dogs with me. Where are my dogs at? And Cotillion's like, Iskarel, buddy, Pust, bro.
I get it. I get it.
On the gym. You've been hitting the gym, haven't you? You're all swole. You're amazing. Impressed that he took down the gym to brawl. I didn't even know you had it in me. And I was like, dude, you're speaking for the reader, because I didn't know he had it in him either. I loved it. And they basically are saying, hey, Mappo, or, Cotillion's like, Mappo, your job's not over. Icarium is still a big threat. The Nameless Ones are trying to use him. We got to stop the Nameless Ones. Old Shadow Throne and I are on the case. And Mappo's like, but you guys have been screwing stuff up. And then there's this whole kind of interesting framing of the universe as these opposing elements, not just earth, fire, air, water, but all of these additional ones that are in opposition: life and death, light and dark, shadow, time and past, present, future, desire and deed, which I thought was a really cool one, sound and silence, faith and denial. I thought this was really, really cool.
Really, really cool. And then Mappo, I felt like speaking for the reader and him being like, are all of those truly opposite? Are they just like conceptual? You're telling me all of those things are real?
Yeah.
It's just not an idea. And Cotillion's like, maybe an idea is all it takes. And he's like, maybe. And then he like, as they continue their conversation, there's like a concept that he feels so passionate about that he's like, I feel so passionately about this concept that it could feel like an individual religion, an individual power for me. So I think I see why a concept could be enough. And I think that was interesting as well.
So neat.
And I think this is the scene where they also sort of, Cotillion is like, look, so yeah, we took over the Azoth houses because we wanted to be gods. And then we wanted to use the Azoth power to be like a better gods, or like,
well, no, it's not. I think it was like, we wanted to map the Azoth houses.
Yes.
And we realized we couldn't do that in a single lifetime.
Yes.
So how do we get longer life?
Yes.
Let's be gods.
It was interesting that it's like, it seems like, they have this grand scheme, but it started with them being like, okay, so we don't really want to be dead. Now we're in these Azoth houses. We should map them. Well, we can't map them because we'll die. So, okay, now gods. And then now what? Azoth house is cool. That seems powerful. That seems more powerful than other things. And so they're like formulating this plan as they learn more and more and more about the powers of the universe.
I just think it's funny that ascending to godhood is like step one.
Yeah.
That's like a means to an end, It's so funny. That's usually the end, that's the big goal.
The pinnacle.
But the big takeaway is the Azoth houses are failing. They're all failing. And that means unleashing of all the nastiest of the nasties. Right. Because the Azoth houses ostensibly are prisons for the craziest crazies, right? The most potent forces of evils. Yeah. So that would be bad if they all broke out. And tell them about the Twinkie. What about the Twinkie? If you, the Ghostbusters reference. But also, there's that word that we love in the Erikson books, a convergence is coming. And this, I love how he's teeing this up, because Cotillion's like, this is going to be the biggest convergence. Like, we have invited all of this convergence is going to make all the other convergences
look like
not convergences
like a general meetup.
This is going to be the coolest party that has ever been thrown. But yeah, this is going to be like everybody's coming. The magnitude of this convergence is off the charts. I feel like this is where book 10. This is where we're going, right? This is the North Star of the convergence of all to end all convergences. And they're like, okay, we're going to do this. We got to go save Icarium, get Icarium back. Pust, are you in? And Pust's like, nope.
No. I'm like in spirit. I'm like, I'll be like right with you, but like not going down the same path as you at all. If that's
so
cool.
Great. I like all his stuff where he's like, oh, we are screwed. There's no way Mappo can do this. He's going to fail. Mappo, I have the utmost confidence in you. You are awesome. Oh, we are so screwed. It's the best.
There's something that I am not remembering properly from this scene that felt really important about like the powers, because Mappo specifically looks at Cotillion and is like, it doesn't seem like anybody should be able to do that. But I don't remember what that was. I don't know if it was like the Azoth houses are dying and then they eat the power of it and so they can do Azoth stuff, or if it was just there was something that was wrapped up in this that somebody will remind me in the comments. But there was a piece specifically that Mappo was like, nobody should be able to do the thing that you're describing.
Is that you and Kellen controlling the Azoth, or mastering the Azoth? I don't know.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back into it. I'm all mixed up because I read it first.
Well, I feel so bad for you. Anyway, I thought these scenes were incredible, especially in order. The Lana Bashinsky machete cut of these two chapters.
Yeah, I'll release my preferred reading order of the chapters of each book.
Awesome stuff. And we do have our favorite. I have 3, and they're all from right at the beginning of the reading. I think it's one of those things we talk about sometimes where I got so into what I was reading that I forgot to mark things, but I do have 3 good ones from right at the beginning. In fact, this never happens, but literally I sat down to start reading chapter 11 and 12, and literally the first sentence I read, I was like, this deserves to be a quote. It's the epitaph.
It's the epitaph. I'm going to say it with confidence.
Say it with confidence. Just this line. My faith in the gods is this. They are indifferent to my suffering. That's baller. Baller sentence. Just to start. That was like the very first thing I read when I sat down this week to read. And I was like, well, that's already, I've already got a quote for the week. But I have 3 more after that.
I'm getting mine. So here we go. Similarly, I think my quotes are in a similar vein to yours. This is Hebrick sort of pontificating about gods and the crippled god specifically. Yeah, I'll read the whole thing. This section it was right in the middle, but it kind of needs some lead in. So Bidethal's love of pain had fed his need to deliver numbness. The numbness within him made him capable of delivering pain. And the broken god he claimed to worship, well, the crippled one he knew would never have to account for his lies, his false promises. He sought out lives in abeyance, and with their death he was free to discard those whose lives he had used up. This was, she realized, exquisite enslavement, a faith whose central tenet was unprovable. There would be no killing this faith. The crippled god would find a multitude of mortal voices to proclaim his empty promises, and within the arbitrary strictures of his cult, evil and desecration could burgeon unchecked. A faith predicated on pain and guilt could proclaim no moral purity.
It's good. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all mine are from that same sort of Bidithal, Solara kind of like musings stuff. It's all so good.
Yeah, and that was Solara, not Heberic. That was my bad.
I like this. This is kind of a brief one. There were always two sides in a war, us and them, and neither can rightly be denied their faith. Yes, there was symmetry in such a notion. It's true, he said. I have never believed in single answers, never believed in this divisive clash of singularity. Power may have 10,000 faces, but the look in the eyes of everyone is the same. Oof. Baller.
I looked and I only have one more single sentence.
Ooh, okay.
I think because I was confused. This single sentence, it comes from, it's Samar talking with Karsa or Long. We do not kneel before iniquity, else we ourselves discard fairness and knife finds knife.
Knife finds knife. We do not kneel before inequity. How is he so good? I love this. This rings true. It's about women, but I would argue to perhaps a lesser extent, but no less intensely or no less appropriately for dads as well.
Okay.
Children are a woman's curse. They start with weighing you down from the inside. Then they weigh you down from the outside. For how long? No, not days, not months, not even years. Decades. Babies, better they were born with tails and 4 legs and eager to run away and crawl into some hole in the ground. Better they could fend for themselves the moment they scuttle free. Now that would make sense.
At the moment they scuttle free.
I love it.
That's so funny.
All right, I have one more.
Hit me.
This is so good. Death and dying, Solara continued. The way we suck the land dry. The way we squeeze all color from every scene, even when that scene shows us paradise. And what we do to the land, we also do to each other. We cut each other down.
I love that. I almost highlighted that one, and I don't know why I didn't. I didn't so that you could read it to me.
Such a good. We destroy the land, and we also do it to each other.
Yeah. I saw the power I was talking about. It was just the power of all of the concepts. Kellen and Cotillion want to own the power of all of the concepts. Anyway, sorry.
Good stuff. Great stuff. 2 more chapters next week. And just for Lana, it's 13, then 14.
Oh, thank you. I really, but that was, I'll write that down. I'll write that down.
Clear right from the word go. We're doing 13 and 14 in that order. And
oh God.
I just feel my heart breaks for you. That's funny. And we appreciate you hanging out with us. Super fun. Thanks for hanging here on my birthday. I really appreciate that. And we would love your comments, your questions, your suggestions for opening topics for the show. As always, those are highly appreciated. We'll see you next time. Have a great week. Dance it out.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by